Hello, I'm EnterElysium and welcome to Offworld Trading Company, which is a game that's just come out on Steam Early Access. So bear in mind that this is a beta. First impressions. I've played about 8 hours of this game so far. I've played most modes. I haven't played the multiplayer. I've played all modes but the multiplayer. And what it is, it's an economic RTS. So basically, it's about you competing with other corporations on a newly colonized Mars, where you have to exploit the resources and use that to buy out the other companies that you're competing against. Sounds a little bit weird, but we'll demonstrate it in game, and hopefully you'll get a good idea of how it works. So I've played 8 hours. I've tried all the modes except for multiplayer so far. That sort of should give you a good idea of where we're coming from. So there is a quick play, which is like a skirmishy type thing. There is replay games, so you can go and play back a game from the same map that you got in, say, quick play. Tutorials, and there's also a campaign system. So we'll get back to those in a second. I'm just going to demonstrate the basic mechanics. So I'm going to quick play, and you can see that we have some AI players. The AI in this game is tough. Apparently the AI has got toned down. It kind of demonstrates why AI are really good at sort of stats and stock market-y type stuff. That's why we have a lot of computers in that sort of area, because as soon as you put AI in an economic RTS, they dominate. Apparently, they've actually been nerfed, and it's not because they have starting bonuses or they cheat or anything. Apparently, the AI in this game does not cheat whatsoever, but they're actually handicapped to try and give the player an advantage, and it's still a hard game. I'm on employee difficulty. I really dislike this sort of difficulty setting and then naming them randomly, because... Sorry, pet peeve, but assistant, you'd think that's, okay, intern, employee, assistant, manager, because assistant, you're an assistant to the manager. But no, actually, it's intern, assistant, employee, manager. So an assistant is maybe an employee's assistant. I don't know. It's annoying. I just want difficulties, or even a number, just 1 through 7. Thank you. 7 being hardest. Or just, hardest, hard, easy. That would all be grand. But, yeah, so the 7 difficulties. I am on the 3rd one, so I'm not even halfway up the difficulty rankings, and it is a hard game. Map size, you can change the map size, number of players, you can have up to a ridiculous number of players. Resources, you can double the resources on the map if you want to. And terrain, there are a number of different terrains, and this sort of actually comes into play quite a lot, because the different terrain types will really influence what resources are on the map, and, of course, resources on the map drastically change everything. They change everything, because that's what you're using for your money, what you're using to sort of short or supply or whatever to take advantage, and there is a good variety there. There are a couple of different game features you can turn on and off. You can turn auctions off, which basically are little random events that pop up going, do you want to buy this? People start bidding on it. New resources, you can get random event shortages. You can actually create them in the game yourself using a special building, but they also appear randomly if you don't have that turned off. Reveal map, you can reveal the whole map at the start of the game instead of having to do the scanning mechanic, which is kind of cool. Replay file, it'll save the file so you can go back and do the replay from the menu that I showed you previously on the single player. You can basically play the same map again. Maps are all sort of dynamically created, so you can go, okay, I'm definitely going to play the same map. I guess it's an alternative to giving you the seed and being able to just put the seed back in. I actually would like a seed function so you can play maps other people have come up with or something, but, replay file is, suitable alternative. No black market. Black market is kind of the way around the economic side of it. You can basically use EMPs to knock out people's buildings. You can use mutinies to temporarily gain control of a building and take all the resources. New resources, which is basically the same as auctioning tiles, but we've got resources on them, and an auction will turn up being like, do you want to buy this tile? It's got resource on it. And tighter debt, which means that your debt has to be sort of recovered immediately from cash. Debt we'll get into. You're probably very confused about it now, and that makes complete sense. So let's play the game. Right, let's pause. So, you can pause, and you can go faster and slower, etc. I very much appreciate the pausing mechanic, because it can be a difficult game, and especially when I want to explain the game to you, pausing is very helpful. Thank you for that. Why does my stock price start slightly higher? I have no idea. So this is your stock price up here. This is how you lose or win. You have 10 little chits in your stock, and the other players can buy you, and you can buy them, or you can buy yourself. And effectively what you're doing is you're taking up 10% of your shares for each increment. So to win, you have to get all the shares of everyone else. So, this will be 5,000, because we're buying 1,000 shares, and there are 10,000, I think, for each company. So we need to spend 5,000. The problem is, as you buy up more shares, the price goes up. Also, you kind of want to spend your money on other things at the start of the game. Now, of course, you can have this happen to you. The AI will buy your stock, and they will target you relentlessly. You can also buy your own stock, which helps raise the price, as I mentioned before. And once the entire bar is full by a single company, you get them, or you lose the game if it's you. Now, if you've got sort of, say, half the stock and they've got half of your stock, if you've got half of their stock and someone else has half of their stock, then you'll have to buy all the rest of the stock in one lump sum at the high price. So it can be beneficial to avoid getting into a situation like that. But at the start of the game, you have this is sort of the generic outpost that doesn't belong to anyone, and this is sort of the location which you click to start scanning. As it says, click to start scanning, you get 6 scans. Now, over time, as you wait, these will go up, but you will basically be starting later. You'll get to less cherry-pick your spot. There are 2 little pillory things here. I guess you'll call them pillory things. And if you click to, say, scan here, you can see that I'll be scanning that.
Medium levels of water found.
There are medium levels of water, so that's water. I'm assuming that the rest of that is water. I'm probably not going to hit that up with a scan. I'm probably going to go to the left.
Low levels of aluminum found.
So there we go. That's aluminum. Aluminium. Oh my god, I really want a voice pack for this game now. That's probably more water, considering it's connected. What's this?
High levels of water found.
God damn it, there's a lot of water on this map. So, what you really want to do is you want to find decent clusters. Now, because we've got pause, we've got a slight advantage in that we can just go, okay. Yeah, there we told you it would be water. So you can see there are different amounts, by the way. 3, 2, and 1. If you get the 3 tiles and you put like a production building on top of them, you'll be getting a lot of the resource, say twice as much, I think, as the single ones. So it's very beneficial to sort of get the best spots. Now, we've got no scans left, so if we go back to normal time, start scanning out.
High levels of carbon found.
Okay,
High
right, let's
levels
pause again.
of aluminum found.
So we've got carbon here, and aluminium. Aluminium, that's a very high spot, and so far, the map looks like there's going to be an okay amount of water, but this looks like the only spot of aluminium. Now, of course, this probably isn't the case, we haven't seen the entire map, but this is how the economy works. You want to try and kind of make yourself indispensable and take a monopoly on one resource. So everyone needs aluminium, actually. It's used in base building. And if you could, say, take all the aluminium, now, of course, there's probably other stuff on the map, but if this is like the best resource of aluminium on the map, A, you'll get a crap ton of aluminium that you can sell, you can use to upgrade your base, because aluminium is used to upgrade your base, and B, everyone else won't have it, so they'll be slow upgrading their base, and also anything that needs aluminium will be hard for them to build, because they'll have to pay for it, and because you have the monopoly on it, you're getting, like, the price jacked up when they're paying for it, because every time you pay for it, price goes up. You'll see that in a second when we get into the game. So, I'm going to keep scanning, looking for a good location. It's an annoying amount of water. Come on, water. Let me off easy. I'm looking for iron, really. This is iron. Oh my god, so much water.
Low levels of silicon found.
Okay, so that's silicon.
High levels of silicon found.
More silicon. Oh my god, I'm surprised no one's set down yet. Because the AI are doing this at the same time. Okay, please be iron. No. This map is awful. Okay, please, one of you be iron.
Scientific colony founded.
Okay, we're gonna have to start setting down soon. They've set down already. Okay. So, where have they set down? There, on the water. Okay. Smoke on the water. Okay, right. So we have no iron on the map. There will be iron, it'll just be hidden. Problem is, waiting later in this situation is probably a good thing, because we could get a total monopoly on iron. That's a steel mill. Okay. This will come apparent in a minute, but this doesn't make much sense to me. They've got a steel mill, and that needs iron to function. But there's no iron. Or at least, maybe they've identified some iron. I'm gonna keep waiting. I'm probably gonna lose out now. Okay, so we've got 3 scans. I'm gonna pause the game and we're just gonna go to town with these scans.
Medium levels of iron found.
There we go, right.
Ooh, a geothermal vent. That will be useful. High levels of iron found.
So that looks like it is the only source of iron on the map. Now, it probably isn't. There probably are maybe a couple of others. But this puts us in a great place to be basically indispensable. So if we were to do like the dick move of placing our base on top of the iron, you get a bulk amount of iron, and you lose the ability to get it over time. Now you could of course do the same to the aluminium. That seems to be the only aluminium store on the map. So I think what we'll do is we'll want one of these two, and whichever one we don't go for, we'll dominate ourselves. So I'm thinking, because with the base we can block off multiple tiles, as you can see their base here covers multiple tiles, I think we'll cover the iron, and then we'll maybe dump something down on the aluminium. So you've got a couple of different choices of bases. You've got, basically they're different factions, in other words. Expansive, they get extra claims, which is basically extra tiles. You've got a tile limit at each tech level. They need 50% less steel for buildings and HQ upgrades, and the base resource is steel. They also have the normal mechanics in terms of they need food, and they need water, and they need oxygen. So basically, they're people. Robots. You don't need food, oxygen, or water. But you do need electricity and electronics. So the base uses, basically as a robot, you eat microchips, not the food kind. You eat silicon boards with like printed circuits and stuff. So you need electronics. You also don't need glass for upgrading, which is helpful. Glass is something that needs silicon, and I can't remember what the other thing is. It also uses power instead of fuel for your units. Now, units float around the map, they'll take the resources to you. They need fuel. For the robots, however, they just need power. And that's good, because that means that you can really sort of slim down your production tree. You don't need food, you don't need water, you don't need oxygen, you don't need fuel. But because some of the buildings do rely on other buildings, you end up not being able to get certain advanced sort of resources. For instance, not being able to produce, or not needing to produce fuel, means that you're going to be less reliant on fuel. But some of the advanced buildings, for instance the chemical lab, need fuel. So it kind of becomes a superfluous tech tree you're going down there. An extra bonus is resources on the HQ might be useful if we would say just dump down there. Scavenger, you don't need... what is it you don't need? You don't need steel. You can use the black market more frequently. You learn about news before other HQ, and you also don't need steel. You use carbon instead. So as you can see, it says here, base resource, steel, 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 carbon. Now, this is a very bad race for this map, because there's only this one high-level carbon that we can see so far. Scientific, these guys are horrific. I'm not sure if they're just terrible, or if the tutorial with them is terrible, but they suck. They have the ability to basically ignore intermediate steps in the production chain. For instance, if they were going to make food, they need water. So you would need... you'd put a water mine down, and then you'd put a food thing, and then the water would go to the food thing, and you'd get the food. Scientific don't need the water production facility. All they do is they can go, okay, screw it, I'm going to dump the food. And you dump the food thing straight onto water, and it takes the water straight up into the building itself without having to put the intermediate step in the way. They also have plus 50% research for technologies and patents, and sabotage damage is decreased by 50%. I don't think they're very strong. I tend to like robotic or expansive. So for this map... And since I'll be demonstrating the mechanics, I think probably the best way to go is expansive, because I want to show you all the food, etc., and there's a lot of water, so I don't think water's going to be a massive issue for us. So, expansive. Can't found on hill. Oh, there's that in the way. Okay, right. What we'll do is I think we'll put ourselves here, and then we'll take the iron for ourselves.
Preliminary scans agree this is a great primary location for our new investment.
Right.
You can count on us.
So, if we go there and take the iron immediately, which is not a good short-term goal, but, it'll work for now. And then we want to dominate the aluminium. As it says, +2. And then we probably want water. The problem is there is actually kind of a lot of water, so we can afford to be late to the water game. And to upgrade your base, you do need steel. But also we have to consider glass. So as you can see, by mousing over these, we get these pop-ups for buildings. And they're actually normally one building for each thing, but some of them have two. For instance, to create carbon, you can have a dry ice condenser if you've got any dry ice on the map. One complaint I have about the maps currently is that dry ice isn't a resource as such. It's just a terrain tile type. And the problem is it's no different from normal ice visually. So you don't know if it's dry ice or normal ice. It's kind of annoying. You've also got a couple of other things. You can have the Electrolysis Reactor produces oxygen and fuel from water. Effectively what you're doing is you're cracking water into hydrogen and oxygen. That's for both fuel and oxygen, so it appears in both. But with oxygen, you also have the choice of using the dry ice condenser, which creates oxygen and carbon. So, we've got one claim left. We've used 2 of our claims already. You get 3 at the start. We've got our iron up and running. We've got our aluminium up and running, or we will do when they send out the guys out there. I think it's probably a good idea to get a steel mill down. And I'm going to place it here. The reason I'm doing that, I'm putting it on iron. I'm actually going to do this so that I can stop other people trying to get the iron. It's kind of a dick move. But this is a game about dick move. Ah, right. So our aluminium mine got cancelled because someone had decided to set down on it. Ugh, that's really frustrating. It happens. It happens. It is incredibly frustrating. So we have no longer any way to get aluminium, and the aluminium on the map is... Oh, there is a 2 spot here, so I think I will claim that. It's near to our base as well. It's a shame we missed out on the 3. But because he's put the base down on top of it, you don't get it over time. You just get a bulk at once. So over time, if that 2 is literally the only above one on the map now, we should probably get a decent domination of it. But it does appear we're racing for it. Oh, that's a chip lab. Don't know where that chip lab is going. Alright. So we've got 4,000 monies. We're actually losing money and we're getting debt, as you can see here. That's our debt. We're 4 in debt. We're losing 4 per second because of power. We don't have a power production building. We can actually afford to make one, but we don't have a claim to put it down with. You need claims. We're also losing water, food, and oxygen because we aren't providing any of them, and all of our buildings need these. So if we mouse over it, you can see that our HQ requires water, HQ requires food, HQ requires oxygen. And we're not getting any of that. So, one of the first things I think we should do is do the upgrade HQ to level 2. This is normally a bit later on, because basically we've started with an expansion to HQ need only half the steel, but because we need half the steel, we can actually go for it now. Now, as you can see, it says we've got 25 out of 80 aluminium, 25 out of 40 steel, 20 out of 20 glass. You start with a couple of resources, so for instance, we started with 25 glass, but we can still do it. And the reason is, it says here, okay, you can buy aluminium for 1,000 and steel for 1,000. So effectively what it's doing is it's calculating how much it would cost to buy, 10 units of this, 10 units of this, 10 units of this, which you can do manually. And it's probably a good idea to go for this straight away, because very early on, steel tends to be a wanted resource because people want it to upgrade their bases. And as soon as people buy it, the price goes up. So I'm going to upgrade.
With each new citizen,
and as you can see,
domination
price
grows.
of steel went up because I had actually had to buy some. So we now have 5 claims again. I probably want to get a geothermal plant because, oh, they've already set down a geothermal plant there. Damn it. This is what it's all about, this game. Basically being a massive dick. Ooh, is this ice or dry ice? Let's check. Yep, you can't tell. Must be constructed on dry ice. Thank you for that game. Early access, though. There aren't many bugs of it for an early access game. I will point out that I've had very few bugs so far. So we're going to unpause, and we're going to see how this goes. So, what can I build? I probably want to take advantage of the water. I don't have any resources, so I'll be buying this out straight away. But considering there is a lovely patch of water right here, I think it's probably a good idea to set down on it, because there's some 2s next to it as well. Now, putting units next to each other, you get bonuses. So, for instance, I put the water down. If I were to put a water pump down, you can see... Oh, I have to wait until it's built. But you get a plus 50% bonus for being next to one building, and then if you're next to 2, you'll get a plus 100% bonus. So they're flying over there at the moment with the construction stuff. If someone got there in time, it would cancel our claim. And as soon as we set down, we've claimed the tile, and you'll see in a minute... Map border. There we go. And it's building it now. So pausing again. We need to definitely sort of a food situation. We need glass and steel to make that, so we'll be buying glass. Glass is needed for a lot of things, so I think that that's something we have to probably do at some stage or other. Now, where are we going to go with you? Food. You need water, so maybe it's a good idea to put you near the water. Yeah. I probably won't be needing all those little ones. So put the food there. And the electrolysis as well is probably a good idea. That needs a lot of water. That's -1 water. And we definitely need to consider some power. Power in the early game is actually something that people tend to ignore. And that way, if you've got surplus power, you can make a lot of money off it. I'm actually going to pay off my debt. Now, the more debt you have, this is from, you know, the buying over time of all these things. So, you know, we're buying power, we're buying food and oxygen.
Are auctioning their services
oh, great,
to the highest
auction,
bidder.
right. So, there is an auction. Auctions. This will go towards your debt. So I can hit this button.
1,000.
And that'll count towards my debt if I win the auction. I don't need to have the funds available. Now, pirates, they're kind of cool. So auctions show up pretty much randomly now and again. Pirates are basically a sort of, I guess they're 7 tiles. Basically a 3 by 3 hexagon grid. And anything that goes in between has a chance to be shot down or plundered for you by pirates. They are well worth it if you can place it on something important. For instance, this is the only... I think it's the only iron on the entire map. So by you know, putting down a pirate thing here, I can starve off everyone on the map from iron. This is the only iron deposit on the entire map, and I can basically stop anyone getting iron. That will cause the price to increase because people have to buy it. I'll be getting all the iron. I can sell it at a high price. See? Economics. It's worth paying for this. These are also steel mills, by the way.
1,000.
No.
3.
I need to win this.
1,000.
Very cheap. I didn't expect to get it for that cheap. Okay. Miss Entertainment is the richest. Yeah, I know. Pirates. So let's put them down. As you can see, we've got this little hexagon appearing. Electronic chips. I'm going to put it down here. That should cover them.
Pirates. I hate those filthy bandits.
Yes, lovely over the voiceover. That's the one. Right, so we need to consider power. We really need some power. You've got a couple of choices. You've got geothermal, but they require geothermal vents. I think the only one on the map, which was the one next to us, has been taken. So our other choices are solar, which only works during the day, produces 1 power, or wind, which is 0.4, but works all times. And different places give them different bonuses. So as soon as we, you know, actually can build one, we need carbon actually. The carbon got taken by them because they stepped on top of it, which is annoying. There are a couple of bits of carbon there. Let's get an electrolysis reactor in. Water isn't going to be a big issue on this map. That's why I'm not going crazy for it, because there are a fair number of water springs around, and quite a few of them are high level. And the black market is open. Okay, so let's talk about the black market. You have a number of different things you can do in the black market, and you can only do them every so often. Every time you use one, the price will increase to the next go, and it will also then lock out the black market for about 60 seconds. You've got a number of different options you can use. You can get purchase new claim. So effectively, you're like bribing people to give you a claim, and you basically get a 3 claim on the planet. We're okay for claims at the moment. I won't go for that. EMP, an area effect shutdown, shuts down people's bases in an area effect. So, for instance, if I wanted to, I could shut down their water mine and the electrolysis lab here. Probably a good idea. I could, if I hadn't done the pirates here, I could shut down their steel mills to slow them down. You've also got this one, Power Surge, which goes along in a chain, so any buildings attached get affected up to a certain range. Underground Nuke, very tempting actually. This would, for instance, if I used it here, would knock down the number of resources on the tile permanently. It's powerful. Problem is, it's no use here, actually, because all they'll do is go, okay, there's loads of other water on the map. However, if, for instance, there was, you know... Hey, that aluminium on the map, right? If that aluminium was still there and was a 3 high, I could underground nuke it, get it down to, like, 1, and the only other way to really solve that problem for them would be buying up more aluminium if they were very dependent on aluminium. There's also Purchase Dynamite, which takes a building offline until you repair it. Mutiny temporarily takes over a building, so you get the resources for a minute. And Purchase Goon Squad to protect yourself. So if you had like a really important building, for instance, my steel mill is fairly important. I could purchase a Goon Squad to protect it, and if they then targeted it for, you know, mutiny or whatever, it wouldn't work, because my Goon Squad is protecting it. This silicon might be worth going for, actually. There isn't much silicon on the map. There's a few ones. I'm guessing those ones will actually become fairly dominated as soon as I set down on this, but I will set down on it. Now, glass. What do you need? Oxygen and silicon. We've actually got oxygen being produced by this over here in a minute, so glass might be a good idea. Geothermal plant. Can't place it anywhere because there are no geothermals. Great. That requires carbon, that requires silicon. Okay, I might have to buy them. My debt's getting out of control, by the way. As your debt increases, your stock price tends to dip. So I should probably sell something. And you see now we're making everything apart from water. We're actually losing out on water and power. I do want glass so that I can use it for buildings, because, you know, a lot of buildings use glass to be made. I'll actually go for glass. I'll ignore power for the moment. It's a long-term plan. And I'll place it next to that. Okay. So that's producing our resources quite nicely. Now here you can see a perfect example of one of the events. This is I think this is a shortage. So it's increasing the price. Now, this will only happen temporarily. And when unfortunately we don't have many of the resources to sell, it might be worth selling when it peaks, but you can actually do this artificially. Now these happen randomly if you've got it enabled, but you can do it artificially by using the hacker array. Once you've constructed the hacker array, you can then basically, from a certain amount of money, short or surplus certain goods, or pretend that there's a shortage or a surplus. So I could say, let me see, I could shortage aluminium. I've got a lot of aluminium, that would increase the price, I could then sell off it. Or, if, for instance, I was desperate for power, I could pretend that there was a surplus of power using the hacker array. That will cause the price of power to go down, and that means I'm buying it a lot cheaper. Of course, you can then combo this with the black market and get some crazy things. For instance, if I was dominating in, say, iron, right, which I am fairly dominant in iron, they've sort of circumvented it, but we'll talk about that in a moment. If I was dominating in iron, I had the only iron spots on the map, and they had some pretty crappy ones. I could shut down their pretty crappy ones using, say, a power surge or dynamite or whatever, at the same price as jacking up the price at the same time, as jacking up the price through pretending that there is a shortage. That would mean that they're having to buy their iron at the same time as the price is really high, which will cause them to go into debt. Now, iron's not a perfect example because you can just not use iron. You can go, okay, I won't upgrade for a while, and it will slow them down. However, if we talked about, say, food or power, power's a really good one, actually, for that. You could, say, shut down their solar panels or their geothermal generator. At the same time as jacking the price on power, especially if you've got power yourself, you'll be making mint, and they will be losing money. There's nothing they can do to stop it. It's a very good tactic, and there's a great combination there. But, like I said, they sort of protected themselves down here. Now, green, I believe... You're all scientific? No, here we go. You're a scavenger. Oh, yeah, you are scientific. Right. So these two who are scientific have put down steel mills on iron, and because they're scientific, as I said earlier, they can do that without having to have the intermediate step of mining the iron. They can go straight from raw iron in the ground straight into the steel mill. So they're effectively producing steel straight away. It might be worth me shutting these down. I think I would be then pretty dominant. But they've managed to get around that. They've chosen scientific probably to get around that solution. That situation. Let's unpause. So my debt's getting a little bit high. I really don't want it to get too high. I don't want my stock price to get too low. They'll start buying it, and that would be bad. I think as soon as I get my next upgrade so I can get more claims, I'm going straight for power. We'll need more silicon, but we should be good on that. We're probably going for solar panels since we don't actually have that much carbon. There we go. What am I missing? I'm missing glass. I have a glass factory here. Luckily. You have silicon. You are lacking in O2, I think. Ooh, claim. I need this. I need this for power. But it's getting fairly high in price. Now remember that this price comes entirely out of your debt. I'm not going to pay for that. It's too rich for my blood. I'm at 11,000 debt already. And debt accumulates interest. So the higher it is, the harder it is to keep up. I'm not risking that. And you can see that the stock price on Miss Entertainment, I think she was the one that won, is now dropping because of her debt. Yeah, I can't risk that. It's too much. Like, I really do want to expand my power, so I'm not paying 41, 42. I think maybe even 2 solar panels are needed. Okay, you're producing... Yeah, you've just got shipped your oxygen. So these barges are shipping all the produce around. We've now got the oxygen and silicon in the same place we're making glass. Yeah, my debt's accruing interest. So, how much do I need? I need 80 steel, so I can afford to sell a bit of steel. I need to see prices dropping as I do that. Upgrade. I can afford to buy the glass straight.
Worker morale is at an all-time high.
Bought it.
Thanks to the infrastructure boost you approved.
Right, so
We'll
we've
be
got
able to
enough
ship more
silicon
industries off
to
Earth in
buy
no
that
time.
twice, and aluminium. Right, so we can buy 2 solar panels straight away. As you can see, it's now ranking the tiles. So solar's better in higher altitudes. So you can see that it's like a 3 there, it's a 2 here, is there a 1? No. Alright, but over here, which there is plenty of room, it's all the way up to 1.3. Of course, it won't work during the night, but I'm going to go straight for placing down 2 next to each other. We also do need more water, so I'm going to grab one of these 2 slots next to me. That'll allow me to get 2.25 from that resource, because I'll get the plus 50% bonus on top of the 1.5 that I get for having a 2 unit. We're a little bit low on food. Anything looking like it might end up being a high-valued commodity? Probably steel. Glass tends to drop off a little bit later on, but they're putting down steel mills. So I think now's a good idea to purchase an EMP or power shortage. If I could do that at the same time as I had, say, the hacker away up, I could, you know, artificially create a surge. But as it is, I don't have the ability to build that without spending a whole crap ton of money. I don't really want to spend that money, especially when I could use it against my debt. It might be worth going for an electronics factory, but we need carbon. It's probably a good idea getting some carbon early on. So we are short on oxygen. It's a shame that there's no dry ice on here, because I would love the oxygen and the carbon. I really wish there was more dry ice around. Okay, we're going to have to get some carbon from somewhere, I think. It's also used for chemicals. So let me just pick up I don't know. I don't know anymore. I've got 2 claims, that's the issue. I could well go for the carbon, but it wouldn't pay off immediately. And that's the issue. I can't undercut them with steel production while they've got those steel furnaces going. I don't want to create one of them, actually. Let's leave it for a little bit. I will, however... double click. There we go. Freeze these guys. Basically, by shorting them on steel, I'm not really going to jack up the price of steel very much unless they start buying it. Ooh, they have. Look, there where the price just went up. So they've started buying steel because their steel mills are shut down. Hopefully this will raise the price and I'll be able to sell off some steel and be able to make a profit, because currently my debt's getting a little bit high. So water's very low in price, and like I said at the beginning of the game, there's so much water on the map, I didn't think it was going to be an issue. And as you can see, $5 for 100 water. No, steel surplus! Oh god, I think this is a random event. I don't think anyone triggered that. That's just very unfortunate for us. So that's just a random event that's just caused the steel price to crash, despite the fact that we were setting up. That's actually going to hurt us very much. That was going to be maybe $8,000 worth of steel. And we've completely lost that. We're actually getting a surplus of power now, which is nice. It's actually making some money, but it's caused the cost of power to go down because there's excess power in the system.
The black market is online.
So power's gone down as well. We do need to get maybe another electrolysis chamber up and running, so I'll do that now. And, oh! We've been targeted by dynamite. Ah! So, there we go. Because we've got such a high silicon turnover here, and we're making glass, and people are a bit jealous of us making glass because, you know, it's worth a lot of money. They've targeted us with dynamite, so let's do a repair. That'll take time to repair. God damn it. So I think we'll go a little bit further into this game, and I'll show you these upgrades, and maybe play another 5 minutes of this, and then I'll pop back out and I'll talk about the rest of the game and how the different game modes work. God damn. Oh, we're making this now. Give us oxygen and fuel. You have a nice bonus from that. Got plenty of water to power it.
3, Thousand.
Extra claim. I would like an extra claim. I think I'll go to 7,000 on it.
Thousand.
Nah, too rich in my blood.
1,000. 9,000.
Yeah, you can have that.
Sold.
And watch your stock price, because you went into debt. There we go. I can upgrade my HQ.
Citizen.
Done.
Domination grows.
Right, so I want to build one of these. I need glass for it, though. Actually, out of glass. It's because we are out of silicon. No, we've got 10 silicon left. Ah, now we've got more silicon again. Beautiful. I think we're getting automatically supplied by buildings next door, by the way. I don't think you actually have to have the guys fly across if you're next door, so we should automatically get supplied by silicon here. I need that glass sent over, so I'm going to take the ship resources immediately. And that'll be our lovely glass convoy there. I think the pirates have left now, which is a shame because they were doing a pretty good job down here on shutting down all the steel. I probably want to set off another EMP. Can I sell anything to make some money to do that? No, nothing's particularly cheap. Sorry, nothing's particularly expensive. I mean, glasses. We could probably put down an extra glass thing here. Yeah, as soon as we've got enough money, I will want to put an extra glass furnace down. How much more do we need? 600 more. We've got a lot of iron. Right, so extra glass furnace.
Scientific colony expanded.
Oh, I've been targeted by another... Oh my god, they just knocked down my silicon to a level 1 silicon. There we go. Perfect example of the use of an underground nuke. So, they correctly identified that that was the only 3 silicon on the map. Actually, the only one above a level 1, and they've nuked it down to level 1. This has caused our silicon to nosedive. And they've also then frozen our water up here, which has also frozen our electrolysis. So, because we're leading, we've been targeted a lot, and this is actually going to have some real bad effects on us. Now, this is actually going to be the highest production of silicon on the entire map now, because they're next to each other, so they're going to be getting a bonus. There isn't anywhere else on the map you can do that. So I suspect it's the orange player who chose to do that to us.
Scientific
Very
colony
painful.
expanded.
Scavenger colony expanded.
Chemicals are surplusing. It might be worth buying them and selling them at a later date, because they tend to be fairly high priced. Okay, right, so superconductor, 100% power production when connected to HQ.
Bidding will begin.
I don't want to bid for it. I've got no power connected to my HQ. No one does.
Auction unclaimed. Bidding closed.
Okay. So I think, yeah, we're losing out on all of this. It's costing us a lot of money. You can see our debt's going up because all of this is shut down. We'll be shut down for another 30 seconds, 45, 50, 70, yeah. Night times we're not getting power, so our debt's going to skyrocket, and I think this is probably the turnaround point for us in the game, especially when you consider stuff like, you know, this silicon won't be providing us silicon to power this glass furnace. And kind of a lot of my play there was played around doing the whole glass thing, which is a shame. So, before the end, let's talk about what these are down here. So you've got Pleasure Dome, which just makes money from tourism. You've got Patent Lab, which allows you to patent certain things. Basically, you know, that thing that we had earlier saying, oh, plus 100% power for anything connected to your HQ, that's a patent. And they do occasionally turn up in auctions, but they also allow you to claim patents, and you have to use chemicals to develop them. They can be really powerful. For instance, there's one called teleportation that means that you don't need to use any supply barges, and supply barges use fuel. Yeah, don't need to do that. You can instantly teleport resources. They're always where you need them to be. Really powerful, but it's also really expensive. You've also got the engineering lab, which allows you to upgrade, I think using chemicals, but I'm not certain, your sort of units. So, for instance, I could probably actually a good idea to get that now. And what I can do is then go, okay, upgrade silicon production. And all your silicon mines produce silicon at a faster rate, which is great. You've also got the construct hacker array, which allows you to, you know, jack up the price of certain things or decrease the price of certain things. And then there's also the Offworld market. Now, the Offworld market, you need a level 5 HQ, and we're only level 4 at the moment. And that allows you to sell 100 instead of Sorry, it allows you to sell, is it? Yeah, 100 rather than 10 of a unit at any one time. So normally when you click up and down, you'll sell 10. If we were to build this, you can then sell 100 to an off-world market. And the off-world market has completely different requirements. So, for instance, on this map, water's really cheap, power's fairly cheap. Yeah, not the case on the off-world market. The off-world market is a completely different place, completely different supplies, etc. So you can really take advantage of that. If you can get to the, say, the construct off-world market and you can sell, say, I don't know, oxygen or fuel or something at a really high price and you've got lots of it, even if it's really cheap here, really good. And that'll pay a lot of money. So we're talking, normally a good amount would be, say, 650k or more. So, very briefly, since I'm about to exit this, I'm just going to sell off some things to demonstrate buying of stock. Yeah, water, you're cheap. So here we go. So we can buy their stock. I'm probably going to buy... Now you want to buy whoever you want to take over. I think orange is a good idea for me to take over. If I wanted to take over orange, I could get the silicon from here. They've also got a decent amount of power. Yeah, I think orange is a good idea. They're not very high in steel production, however. That's because they are scavenger and they don't produce steel. They require carbon instead. Which is good, because if they have carbon, that'd be good for me. I do need... There we go, there's their carbon production. Also, this is a brilliant place for an EMP. Yeah, just blast all of this, get all of these down. Glass production, electrolysis. They've even got some steel production going. Probably just to sell it. And the carbon production, that would shut them down lovely. So, there we go. You've now got 1 out of 10 of their units of stock. And their stock price has increased because it's a rarer stock. And this is how the game works. And as you've seen, it's actually a simple mechanic idea, or maybe a moderately simple mechanic idea, but it results in a lot of knock-ons. Like, just because the scarcity of things increases their prices, you can try and get monopolies, you can try and artificially create a monopoly. You can then, say, undercut, for instance, I had a monopoly on silicon, and they went, okay, right, how can we screw them over? We nuke his silicon, and that's really going to have an effect on me. Combined with the detonation EMP here has increased my debt by about 10k. Really put me in an awkward situation, especially considering that this one's actually shut down because it's not getting any O2. So it's kind of annoying that they're both targeting me at the same time because there is no O2 for this. Otherwise, it would be running with the resources it has left. For instance, this one's got 33 oxygen left, despite the fact I'm not producing any oxygen at the moment because it got sent its last shipment. So there's actually some really cool depth to this game, and you know what? It's pretty badass. So let's just back out and let's talk about the other modes. Quick game. Okay, so the tutorial. Upgrade your HQ, plays expansive, which is what we were just playing as, player robotic, scavenger, scientific. And you notice that the scientific one isn't checked. Basically, it goes through the different ones and it goes, okay, let's introduce more mechanics. For instance, I think robotic or scavenger is the first time you encounter the black market. It locks certain things away, just so you slowly get used to it. It's a fairly simple mechanic, fairly intuitive mechanic, and it does work fairly well. Scientific, however, as I've said previously, the scientific race, in inverted commas, aren't very strong, and this tutorial is rock solid, and it's not just me. I did check some other people, including like Marbazir, etc., who, is very famous for being particularly, really good at things like XCOM and whatever. Yeah, he can't do this mission either. I spent about 3-4 hours last night trying to do this tutorial, in inverted commas. I can't do it. It's rock solid. I have no idea why. It might just be the scientific race are just god-awful. But it's solid for a tutorial. Campaign! Right. Actually, back. Let's resume campaign. So this is a campaign I've started as the robots. I love the robot race. And as you can see here, you've got different corporations, and I've won 1 match so far, so I'm now at 10 points, because I've won my match. Oh, you've done fairly poorly. Okay, so the way this works is you have a certain amount of money, you can purchase, say, different buildings, and then you can use those buildings in a game. Now, because I'm a robot, I haven't learned about how to use, farms or water. I don't need it, I'm a robot. But I can now buy these, and then I can set them up during a match. During a match, you're basically limited in the units you can have until you've unlocked them. But you also get these engineers. So you can see we've got 1 solar panel engineer, and this basically means that you get plus production for solar panels. So I've got, I think it's plus 25, and if I get another one, then I'm up plus 42. For instance, my steel mill, Really good. I've currently got 2 steel engineers getting a nice amount of production there. And this allows you to basically get buffs, and it means that instead of going into a match and then adapting to the match, like we were in the quick play, here you'll go in and you'll be like, okay, I need to focus on my steel production. And you tend to be one-on-one in a location, so if I was to go start mission, I must select level. Okay. Can I select my level? Oh, there we go. Right, so you can select your location here. Now, there was actually a way to do this on the map a minute ago. Not sure it's gone now. It might just be in the post screen. It used to be able to rotate the map and have a look at it. And you can see that you get income from different places, perk, pirates, resource level low, scenario no off the market. Basically, it's effectively a load of random skirmishes stringed together. And the more you win, the more funds you get to unlock new things, and gives you more adaptability, and also gives you points. And the points is actually how you win. But instead of being a normal free sort of form skirmish, you actually have a very limited set of units, sort of circumstances. But in, all fairness, you're going in, you know the terrain, you know the map size, you know the resource levels. So you can actually go in and go, right, I need to unlock this because we're going to here. I'm going to a volcanic place, I need to unlock geothermal, etc. And this is kind of a cool mechanic. I think it's what we call a campaign for the sake of having a campaign. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a game that really shines through in skirmish, but then was like, okay, well, let's think about having a campaign. How can we do a campaign? Okay, how about we just do a set of skirmish matches with a score that accumulates, and you unlock things during it. Yeah. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I like the ability to have this as a thing. I like it. It's a cool function. It's a cool mechanic. So maybe not the focus of the game. The focus of the game is definitely on the skirmishes, unlike, say, other games where you might say there would be a focus on campaign. But that's really all there is to Offworld Trading Company. It's a really good game. I really like it, and it's pretty badass. There is one downside, however. Its price. So its price is 30 quid, $40, 37 euros. That's expensive. Not to mention the fact that the UK are paying about 10% more, but even then, it's fairly expensive. It is currently running at 10% off, but I do think it's maybe a little bit overpriced. It isn't like a full in-depth strategy game. There is some cool sort of mechanics that come out of all the different interplay, and it is definitely a fun game, but I think that maybe it is a little bit overpriced. Now, of course, this completely comes down to personal preference or, personal financial viability of the choice of this game, or whatever you want to call it, and it does vary from person to person. But I would generally say, in comparison to most games, I'd say it's a little bit overpriced. I see this game as maybe a 20 quid game. I don't see it as a 27 quid game. Sort of 15 to 20 quid, I see. I could go up to 20 quid because I particularly like it. I don't think it's a 27 quid game. Now, of course, this might be perfectly fine for some of you. Some of you might just be like, okay, yeah, I really love the game. I don't care. I've got spare cash. But for a lot of people, I see a lot of people don't want to mention prices in reviews. And then it kind of like, well, why? Because price is the thing that you compare games against. It's how we evaluate everything in our lives, cost-benefit ratio. The benefit of this game is it's a good game. Undoubtedly. It's in early access. There are very few bugs, and they're very minor, mainly sort of graphical things, and I think there are a couple of unfinished graphical things here and there, but they are so inconspicuous that I haven't even been able to point them out during this impressions. But it's a fairly high price. You're asking a fairly steep price when you're asking 30 quid, and I think maybe it's probably a 20 quid game. That said, I will be covering this game more on the channel. I find it really fun, and I really enjoy it. But just evaluate it in your mind as to whether it's worth it for you. I've been EnterElysium. This has been Offworld Trading Company, a economic RTS, which is kind of awesome. Yeah. If you've liked, remember to like, and if you're not subscribed, and of course you want to see more Offworld Trading Company, because hell yes, I will be covering it more, then consider subscribing. Hope you find it interesting, and yeah, catch you guys soon. Stay shiny, and always sell to the highest bidder.